benefit of. It's so rude, it interrupts. A big part of the value of these meetings is the sharing and learning from one another. You're all at different stages of having leadership within your chapter, so you have lessons that can be shared with one another. So I'm going to start. I'm Marcy Mowry, president of the organization, and happy to be here and to see all of you, and look forward to seeing you all in person throughout the year. Committed to getting out and starting to put them on my calendar, and perhaps even notifying you that you're going to see me. So Steve, you're to my right, so I'll just call on you, and if you can introduce yourself, talk about what chapter you're with, and if there's any pressing question that you have that you want us to make sure we touch on today.
Okay, I'm Steve Bird. I'm the chairman at the Friends of Colonel Denning. Have been in that position 3 or so years now. Rather quickly got into it unexpectedly. Yeah, you're laughing.
I remember it.
Yeah. I don't think I have any burning issues for tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. Scotty.
I'm Scotty Crowder. I'm the chair of the Friends Group at White Clay Creek Preserve, Big Elk Creek State Park. I've been in the Friends Group since it was started. I think it was 2012, but I'm not 100% certain. I've been the chairman, I think, for about 4 years, I believe. I can't remember, but that's close. And I don't have any burning issues, but I'm interested to hear some of the topics and how you guys and ladies handle some of the issues or advance some causes, whichever it might be.
Great. Thank you, Scotty. Don?
Hi, I'm Don Horn. I'm the new chair for the Friends of Minnesota State Forest. I've actually been around the force for a good while. I was actually the vice president or vice chair, and I just stepped up one since Claire had to step away. So it's been fun so far.
Well, let's hope it remains that way.
Yeah.
Because you know what they say, if it ain't fun, why do it? Perfect, thank you. Jane, you're next on mine as I go around.
Okay. I'm Jane Conley, the chair at Friends of Kings Gap. I've been the chair 2.5 years, I think, and just got reelected for another one anyway. No pressing. Well, the pressing issues we've seen is it's been hard to get volunteers since COVID. We had a good group of volunteers before, and now this past year, it's just like pulling teeth to get people to come, even though we have all these people who say, oh yeah, we'll volunteer. But when the time comes, it just seems hard. And I don't know if it's COVID, but that's when the trouble started with us. So we have a core group, and it's hard because you have the same people, and we're trying to increase our events, and you hate to just keep calling on the same people. So that's our big issue. It's probably a recurrent issue for everybody.
Yes, and we actually, there's one person on here I spoke to who's been adding board members, and I asked what the secret was, and he said he wish he knew. Dave Engel.
Yeah, I don't have an answer, honestly, but I'm Dave Engel. I've been the chair of World's End State Park since we started in 2018, and things have been going relatively well for us. For whatever reason, COVID was good for us because when the surrounding states shut down their parks and Pennsylvania was quick to open ours, we were ready for the onslaught of people by selling firewood and ice. And we just really increased our kitty that year, especially that 2019, 2020 years, because of pandemic. So I guess there was a silver lining there. And it's interesting, the woman that just spoke, Jane, Yeah, we've had problems with getting volunteers. We have the same core group of people, and I think everybody experiences that same problem. This year we had two women move into the county, new to the county. They both retired from other states recently, ended up in Sullivan County, and they showed up at a couple of our meetings and decided to participate as board members. So we got lucky there. The only question I have, and it came up also earlier, was that, and it got me thinking about when we joined these two new directors, was term limits for officers. And for whatever reason, our group has a 3-year term limit. And when I look through all our bylaws, the handbook and everything, the only reference I can find to term limits is that you recommend, PPFF recommends that there be term limits, but I didn't see anywhere where it designated a specific term limit. So
And
I might have
we'll come
missed it.
back to that, Dave.
Okay,
I
Good.
wrote the question down and we'll do introductions and we'll come back to that because
great.
the bylaws have changed, which is probably why you were not finding that. So,
Yeah, I
and
think so.
the 3-year is actually a rotational, so that, and we'll go into that as
Okay.
well.
Great.
So I wrote
Thanks.
it down. Yep. Ron,
Yes, Ron Golick from Friends of Prince Glitzen. I was the treasurer for the past 6 or 7 years, and this year I got elected into the replace Steve Beals, and so now I'm the new chairman. So I'm looking forward, trying to take some leadership and get some new people in, and looking forward to this year.
awesome. Thank you, Ron. Andre,
Hi, everybody. I'm Andre Weltman, the chair of the Friends of Pine Grove Furnace. I was dragged into the board when it was formed, really by our park manager in 2010, and I think I've been chairman since 2014. I have to laugh because several of you were like me, like, it's all a blur. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but I think it was 2014, so about 10 years. And I'd love to have a discussion about rotation of leadership, because I will tell you this, every first meeting of the year, ours is coming up this Sunday, I always ask, does anyone want to be chairman? Does anyone want to change the leadership? And I hear crickets. But it's a serious question, and we can talk about that. I am pleased to say that our Pine Grove Furnace board is going to, presumably everyone will agree to join, to vote in 2 new people. And I wish I knew how we got them, because they more or less came to us. But there you go.
I see a pattern.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you, Andre. Jen Stinson. We have 2 Jens, but Jen Stinson.
Hi, so I'm still at school and I just got my call that we have a snow day tomorrow. So,
Woohoo!
so Jen Stinson, I am the chair of the Friends of Nolde Forest here in Berks County, and I have been the chair for 18 years. No one will take it. So yes, very interested in that rotation. We have been getting new board members and some new officers, and so that we have been getting some new people coming, which is nice. We have a great core group, and we're navigating through our first time doing grant writing. We have a woman who or starting to kind of work on that. We have a woman who was taking a class in environmental studies through Slippery Rock, and this was a class, and she chose us to try to get some things going. So we will see where that takes us. I think Marcy, she's been in contact with you. Not yet.
No. So
Okay.
I'm writing it down. Talk
Yes.
to Jen.
Yeah, I thought she was in contact maybe with the treasurer, because I know she's talked to someone at PPFF. Tracy, her name is. So we'll get in contact with you, because she's just kind of starting to feel around possible grant stuff. So we told her that has to, you know what I mean? That has to all go
Right.
through you. And so maybe starting that navigation would be a kind of a new thing. We're trying to do some bigger projects. We have a bank barn we want to help restore, and at 15 grand, that would wipe out a lot of our money. So kind of try, if anyone's had any success at like doing that step up capital campaign kinds of things. We have sent some letters out to local residents, but haven't had a lot of response. So stepping up the money making. And it's hard for us because we don't have camping. We don't, and we don't have a lot of what the other parks have. We're an environmental center. So it's a little bit harder for us to raise funds doing things like firewood, and we just don't have that ability. So, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in having some people take over at some point for me, because I have been, again, maybe 18 years from the beginning chairperson. Do I win the award? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, great. Thank you. Joan?
Hi. Sorry I'm late. I was out at the movies.
Well, that's
Okay, so I
okay.
guess you're reviewing people's longevity or whatever.
Now, yeah,
Uh,
introduce yourself, what chapter you're from, and if you're ready for
yes,
any questions.
Friends of Ridley Creek State Park, outside of Philadelphia in Delaware County. So when I joined I think it was about 2008, I think. And I was just on the board, and Tim Higgins was president, Jack Miller was vice president, and maybe a few years later, Tim stepped down, but he's still active, and Jack became president, and he's been president ever since. And I became vice president, and I've been vice president ever since. I also handle membership, and I do the newsletter. Now, in the role of vice president, really, there's no role, really. And Jack has been to every meeting, so I've never had to facilitate a meeting in his absence, which you would say the vice president would do. But I do a sort of a ex officio. There's no nothing stated about this, but I coordinate with the webmasters what to put on, what to take off, what to post, and so on, because they don't just do it independently. So I've kind of taken that on. So we really have been a stagnant board for. We had more people on the board, and some of them dropped off, and unfortunately, I was the only woman for quite a while. Now we have a new treasurer who's a woman, which is nice. We have changed. The only position that has changed hands has been treasurer. There was someone else treasurer. There was someone treasurer when I joined. Then we had this woman be the treasurer. Then we had this guy, and now so this is the fourth treasurer since I've been involved. So and she's a young woman. She's just right out of college. She's so great, and she's also taken on the Facebook, the Facebook account, because the woman who was handling the Facebook moved away.
Oh.
So I don't know what else we need to say. Yeah, so it's been a struggle to get people involved and help out for a long time. And I've talked with Pam a few years ago already. I want to talk to Pam again about doing membership differently, and I want to know about how other people do membership, because I'm moving towards doing it differently, and to do away with membership cards, because it really doesn't mean much to have a card. It's like doesn't do anything to have a card. So I'm thinking of other ways. It's some people donate and don't ask for membership; they just donate, and they don't expect to be members. See? And then there are people who are participating and helping out, but not paying dues. So what
Yeah.
about that? So,
Yeah.
I consider that they should be considered members, because they're participating and they're helping out, they're volunteering. So anyway, we need to think of a different way, and would like to talk to other membership people working on membership in the other friends groups at some point soon, really. So I have to get with Pam about that.
Great, thank you, Joan. Jen from Oil Creek State Park.
Hi, I have no idea how to make my camera work. I did a test run earlier this week and it seemed to be fine. So anyway, I don't know what to do, but I'm assuming you all can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, good. Let's see. Well, I was on the board for about a year and a half, and our chairperson resigned. So I said no to being the chairman 3 times, and they voted me in anyway. So here I am learning. I read through it's our nice website. I read through everything and looked at the documents, and I read it again, and I'm trying to memorize our brief version of Robert's Rules of Order. But I really don't know a darn thing, and I really don't know much about the park. When the weather's better, our park manager is going to take me on a tour. In the middle of all this, I had to have a hip replacement, so I was stuck at home for about 4 months. So it just was, I'm not off to a bang at my new job. And I don't have any burning question. I don't know enough to have a question at this point.
Great, thank you, Jen. And then Terry.
Hi, first, my name is Terry. I want to make sure you can hear me. I'm using the Zoom app through my car. I'm driving between State College and Philadelphia at the moment.
Yes, we can hear you, Terry. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so my name's Terry Harrison. I'm the chair of Friends of Black Moshannon. I've been involved with the board for about 4 years, and I am in my 2nd year as chair. We've had a great year last year. We did a lot of new things. For instance, we started a festival in July called Lumber Legacy Day. We had about 1,100 people show up. We did a tree planting exercise on Earth Day and got about 300 trees planted. But I bought a cabin lease about 4 years ago in the park and got in touch with the Friends group then, and it was dwindling very rapidly because the people who had run it for decades were just, in their 70s and ready to get some new blood in. So we've been able to almost double the size of our board. We're up to about 10, I think, now. For the first 2 years before I was chair, I wrote a number of grants, and we got every one of them funded. And I did some grant writing for a prior Friends group that no longer exists, the Friends of Rothrock State Forest. We got a $365,000 grant there. But that was easy for me in the sense that I'm retiring in June as Penn State professor after 42 years. So I've written grants all my life. And I'd be glad to talk to anybody who is interested in exploring that further. So things are going well. We have plenty of money. Just the other day, I was talking to the environmental education specialist. I said, Michelle, what do you need this year? Because we've purchased canoes, telescope, all kinds of things over the past few years. She says, I don't need anything. And we increased our surplus by 1/3 last year with primarily sales of merchandise. But we do face an uncertain future in that when I came on board 4 years ago, we had a new, energetic, very good park manager just starting out. And she is leaving within the next few weeks. And so there's a great deal of uncertainty about what the next year will bring. We have a lot of interest, but of course we serve at the pleasure of the park manager, and we don't know what that's going to be like. We don't know what we can plan for the year and what we can't. We also have the good fortune that the former park manager for many years lives in the area and is still very involved with the park. But yeah, I think that sums it up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Terry. And then I didn't forget Pam. So Pam, if you can introduce yourself.
I am Pam Metzger and the membership coordinator for PPFF, and, kind of jack of all trades when interacting with you guys. So de facto tech person, creator of havoc, all of those things. So it's very nice to see all of you, and thank you for everything you do. And yeah.
So, yes. Well,
Yep.
well, let's jump in. I want to make sure that we touch on the questions that you posed. And then we had some things written down ourselves. And then if I just want to point out, if at any point when you're serving in your chair capacity, if you have a question or have a need, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of the staff at the foundation. Everybody's, here to help you and help you to succeed. So just reach out, and if it's not the right person, they'll point you to the person that could answer your question. So let's talk about, as you're listening to this, you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to be like chair for life. I'm sure that was going through your mind. We did, in fact, 2 years ago, I think it was, we took the term limits away. Because, in part, they weren't serving a purpose, and in part, we were all violating those at the Friends level, at PPFF level. We have a board member at my level, at PPFF, who was on the board when I was hired. So he's been there for probably 20 years. And he's actually one of the people that said, why are we doing this? We ignore it. Where the 3 years comes in is that when a group is forming, or you have a lot of people coming on at the same time, we suggest that you rotate their class. So if you look at the PPFF's board, we have 15 board members. 5 of them would be set to go off this year, 5 next year, and 5 the following year. So that way, if people are leaving, because it is a fair question to ask people if they're staying when their class is up, that way you're not replacing everybody at the same time. From an officer perspective, we interpret the bylaws that officers are up for nomination on a yearly basis. And we've taken the approach of looking ahead and cultivating people to come through. We just changed our chair. Tina Molsky from REI, the Bedford Distribution Center, is the new chair of PPFF. Mary Soderberg, who also serves with Pine Grove, is the vice chair. Treasurer is Jim Grace, and then the secretary is Jessica Uri. We moved her on into the secretary position with the goal of moving her up to chair in a couple of years. So, it's one thing that you can look at from a strategy perspective. If you don't want to be chair for life, is, looking and starting to mentor and cultivate the person who will move up to replace you. But we don't have a term limit. The 3-year thing is really about making sure that not everybody leaves at the same time, because that could be catastrophic for a group. Does that answer your question in terms of term limits? And, I think it was at the fall retreat, which we did record part of it. And, we apologize again. It was meant to be in person. And Steve, you were there up at Greenwood Furnace. And I came down with COVID. Pam had just been sick, and we had a brand new staff member, and we just couldn't say, here, you go do this, when she'd never done it before. So we switched to virtual, but we did talk at length about how to attract new volunteers. We find at PPFF with the board, the best way is we do an assessment of what are our goals, and we look at where we have skill set needs, and then we actually go out and we ask people. We brainstorm who might be potentially good board members, and we go out and ask and say, here's the type of time commitment. This is what our expectation is of you once you consider joining. And sometimes we get no's, obviously. We get yeses. Sometimes we get yeses, and And it's not a good fit. They have a lot of other commitments, and so we work with them to find something that's suitable for them. But, you know, one of the things that we pulled together a number of years ago was a lot of areas, a lot of communities do leadership training. Like there's Leadership Harrisburg area here in central Pennsylvania, Leadership Carlisle, Leadership York. Is when people go through those leadership programs, one of the expectations is that they'll serve on a nonprofit board. And so Pam pulled together, and this was probably 5 years ago, a list of all those leadership programs. And, you know, being in communication with them is one way to potentially build your board and look for people who are interested. And many of them also have volunteer recruitment fairs. I think one of the things that one of the groups shared in the fall too was that they go out and they're very public. They go out and they table at events and they let people know what they're doing. And, you know, as I think Andre said, people found you, Dave, people found you, people find you, and people want to be a part of something that's successful. So if you're communicating about what you're doing and, you know, I know Prince Gallitzin puts out a bulletin board or a display talking about what they've been able to achieve. You know, those are the kind of things that get people's attention. And Terry, you mentioned that you built your board. Did you have anything that you were doing in particular that was helping to build your board?
We actually had people approach us about asking to be able to serve on the board. And the way that happened was they became engaged in the past year or two, just in various roles, and wanted to connect more. One couple who's on recently joined, just retired. They were looking for a way to invest their time. I would say the main thing is there was an interest in folks who had been attending events and found that the events were worthwhile and wanted to help further.
Yeah, and Andre, if you saw in the chat box, said, build it and they will come.
And communicate it. I just,
Communicate it.
you know, our Friends Resources on the website is filled with stuff, and, you know, sometimes hard to find, but there is a volunteer recruitment tabby on there. And one of the things that's on there is, I look at it now, and it's from February 11th, 2020, which is an email that Claire Jantz, the former chair for Friends of Michaud, sent out. And it's just, you know, it's very chatty. It puts together, let's see if I can share it here. It's just very chatty. What's coming up? How to sign up. I mean, I think you guys, Don, always have a sign up form that people can access. Just, you know, the more that you communicate with people and let them know what you're doing, I think the more success you'll have in getting them to come out and see you. And then eventually you can lure them into being paying members and or board members. So I'll have to grab the next one that you guys send and update this one a little bit, because 2020, I can't believe that already.
Time is flying.
Ugh.
And I think related to that, we have been in conversation with DCNR for several years about their conservation volunteer program, because you and all of your board members and all of your volunteers should also be signed up through the conservation volunteer program. It gives you a level of protection, but it's not an easy program, and it's not an easy program to manage or for people to join through. And so they're looking at a new dynamic volunteer software management, which I think will make it easier for people to volunteer, and will also make it easier for you to potentially recruit people into the Friends group or into, you know, volunteering for you. So this is not the new conservation volunteer.
No, this is something that I find absolutely amazing, is the Friends of World's End does this incredible newsletter called The Vista. And it's just spectacular, Dave. I can't say enough about how wonderful this thing is. It's just packed full of information and it's gorgeous and just, it's really well done. So, I mean, I know not everybody has the capacity to do something like this, but again, it's communicate, communicate, communicate. And if
Yeah,
you can make it colorful and pretty, so much the better.
We're really fortunate to have a secretary who's really interested in doing this kind of thing, very talented. And actually, one of our new directors saw this on our Facebook page. And all our newsletters are on the Facebook and Instagram page, as well as our website. And she started going down through them and decided that was one of the things that attracted her to our park.
I don't
So,
doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
Thanks. I'll pass that along to our group next Tuesday. Thanks for setting the Zoom up for us again.
Oh,
How
very-
often does that newsletter come out that you just mentioned?
Quarterly, and then we usually have a special edition for, like last year we had it was World's End's 90th anniversary, so we did a special newsletter for 90 years at World's End State Park.
And then, like there are newsletters of various degrees, but any type of communication is important. People want to know what you're doing. They want to know how they can get involved. And, as I've mentioned before, bear in mind that everybody volunteers differently. Some folks will come out and they'll be there every week. They'll be involved in your board, and there'll be other people that maybe only come out for that festival that you have, and that's their thing. They like to help with the festival, but you'll never see them for anything else, or they like to help with a race, or their thing is tree planting. But that's still a volunteer, and if you can count on them. I know too that some of the friends groups, Pine Grove is one of them, where they have a volunteer who manages the volunteers and who really communicates with them on a regular basis, and that's part of the role that she has. Is reaching out and saying, hey, we need people. Here are the opportunities. So if you have that capacity, that's another way to engage people. Can you bring up the Tennessee website, just so people can get a little bit of a glimpse on the potential new conservation volunteer?
I'll see if
Pine
I can-
Groves.
Yep, I just wanted to quickly share this because if you'll notice, this is their logo, etc. for the Friends of Pine Grove Furnace, does this wonderful little newsletter as well. And I had set up one of these little templates for everybody once upon a time if you were interested in using it. So if there's anybody out there that would like to get a hold of this template, I think it's just a Word document, right, Andre?
It's actually done in Publisher.
Oh, good.
We
Okay.
do it in Publisher, but the one thing I'll say very quickly, because I was just fascinated about the World's End 16-pager, we deliberately keep ours to 2 or rarely 3 pages because we laminate and staple it to the park kiosks with the park management's permission, so that you can turn around in our park and not see this. And it's a different approach where we do email it and website and all that, but our goal is to have it in a print version laminated under your nose whenever you visit the park. So it's a different approach. I couldn't do that with 16.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, and definitely that's a fair request of your park management is, can you have a little corner of one or more of the bulletin boards? Or I always say, I want the restroom doors because, that's where people are hanging out. Everybody goes to the restroom, but not everybody looks at the bulletin board.
Well, they've got Tennessee's got it pretty buried on their website.
Oh, goodness. All right, well, when Pam finds that,
I'll
we'll
find
show
it and you come back to you.
I do think that's important. And I do want to remind you again that if you have volunteers coming out, do make sure that if it's just like a one-off group, you have everybody sign in and give it to your manager, your park manager, or your district forester. If they're regular volunteers, have them in the conservation volunteer program. We did have an injury last year, and they weren't immediately found in the conservation volunteer program, you know, and PPFF's insurance stepped up, but it gives you that level of insurance and a level of cover. So, please, you know, make sure that you do that. Which brings me to another thing that I wanted to make sure I pointed out. I know that some of you have special activities agreements at your park or your forest, and they've become more and more cumbersome. We are actually in conversation with DCNR to have one master agreement so that it would eliminate this need to have these constant agreements at the friend level that sometimes drag out to like the day before your event. So you're never really sure if your event's gonna happen. I don't know how long that's gonna take, because literally there were 9 people in the room and only 2 of us were not lawyers. So in a room full of 7 lawyers, it might take a little time. So we're committed to having it move forward. We gave them some draft language and things we wanted to make sure that we see in there to really simplify it at the friends level, at the chapter level, and make everybody's life just a little bit easier, including the park managers and the district foresters. They don't necessarily have that time to manage all of these agreements and run them through the lawyers, and they get bogged down. So I'm just looking at the questions that you have, so bear with me. So a number of groups have stepped up with are adding merchandise sale. I shouldn't say stepped up. A number of friends groups have added that as a revenue stream. I think that probably warrants a separate conversation with your folks who are doing merchandising, because there's a way to learn from one another. Most of the places are doing it on an honor system. If you have a little gift shop or a little kiosk within your park, most of them are within parks, but they are becoming a bigger revenue stream. We see that now when we do our 990s, because the amount of things that goes into the sales, you know, I think it was maybe $700,000 worth of sales across all the friends groups and PPFF in 2022. But do remember that if you are doing sales, you need to do an inventory. And, you know, at first we heard some grumbling about doing the inventory, and then we've had a number of groups come back and say, you know, it's really helped me manage our inventory. We didn't realize we were losing things or how long things have been on board. Good, I'm glad, Andre. And we found that as well. It's really been a good management tool, because we have to do that inventory as well. So we're not asking you to do something that we're like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
So they say they have this new system launched, huh?
No, Tennessee had it. We looked at Tennessee's.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay, well, I'll dig in and find it later. So one area where we continue that we haven't made a lot of stride is with insurance. We continue to try to make it less expensive for the insurance. We're hoping that's the other thing, as part of the master agreement, it will say that these types of activities are automatically, you know, part of DCNR, and so they're not going to require insurance. If you don't have that special activities agreement, it's not going to need insurance. Or there are some things, and I'm going to look at Andre here, like the Fall Furnace Fest that had traditionally been DCNRs. And then the friends were asked to take it over and pay, you know, thousands of dollars worth of insurance, or the Cider Fest at Prince Gallitzin. So we're trying to get those things that were traditionally DCNRs back under DCNR's umbrella with friends group involvement, so that friends aren't paying to help DCNR host an event. So that's the other part of the master agreement, to try to reduce some of that financial burden on the friends groups, still allow you to be engaged in doing those events, but not necessarily putting a financial burden on you to do them. Oh, there you go. You found it, Pam.
Eureka! They don't exactly make it apparent, but it does look like it will be much more user-friendly than the Conservation Volunteers site. it's at least clearer and cleaner.
Yeah, so there's like group volunteering, and so DCNR is moving through this right now, and they've got some of the permissions that they need to have. And then once they get all the permissions, you know, part of this is customized. So we're really trying to make sure that when they customize it, you know, we're at the table and that Friends get really strong representation to make it easier for you, and also to make it so that you don't have to do duplicate records, you know, like keeping things for PPFF and keeping things for the park or the forest.
So did you get to see the back end of this at all, Marcy?
No, I haven't gotten to see the back end.
It's too bad. So I would be curious to see, you know, what it looks like from a management standpoint. But yeah, they did say today that they bought this off the shelf, and so now it has to be customized to make it work for us. So
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I think it'll be such an improvement. We have a volunteer that contributes their hours submits their hours to their employer for the place where they volunteer. And I called that park to get the number of hours, and it took the park manager half an hour to confirm the hours, because the park manager isn't typically the person working in the volunteer program. And, you know, it brought up every hour that this person has ever had, you know, since they started volunteering. And so it was a, you know, half hour of her time, half hour of my time, and it didn't need to be that complicated.
I have to get going. I have a school event,
Okay,
but you'll post the recording,
Yes.
the rest of it. Perfect.
great. See you, Jen. I wanted to make sure that everybody saw the email that we sent out about there's yet another new scam on Facebook. So if you have Facebook, you know, we had a chapter leader call us and say, oh my God, am I going to jail? I got this thing that I violated some sort of protocol, and now they want me to sign in and give X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, whatever you do, don't sign in, don't give them anything. Looked online, and the Better Business Bureau said it's the latest Facebook scam. And then just yesterday, I managed the Facebook for Susquehanna River Trail Association, and I got that same message telling me I had violated copyright and I had offended people, and that I was gonna, you know, be hauled off if I didn't do X, Y, and Z. So, you know, whatever you do, don't click on anything, you know, make sure you relay that to anybody that's doing Facebook. But the scams are coming fast and furious. Last year, if you have an event, I know the Cider Fest, Fall Furnace Fest, both had it where, you know, somebody went on there and posed as a member of that group and was saying like, hey, you got to be careful. There are a lot of scams out there. I know Jane Conley, they had it at King's Gap. There's a lot of scams out there. This is the place where you register to get a booth. And it was all a scam. It was, you know, taking you to somebody else's. So we try to monitor those. We'll try to communicate them to you as best we can.
Marcy, before you move on, can I ask you a tangential question?
Sure.
You had mentioned before that there's a tutorial on PPFF to help people with Facebook. And
Yes.
I tried to find it and I could not. I don't know if you could send me the link, that would be great. Or just
Pam's nodding.
I'll try and I'll
She
see.
will sign it. And there is going to be a social media webinar in a couple of weeks, but Pam will look for that and get it to you, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Scotty, you had a question about advancing issues. Do you want to be more specific so that we can chat about that?
No, it wasn't. I don't have a specific question. It's just, I figured in the context of the conversation tonight, people would have things they're concerned about, and other people would have ways of how they address that. So some of that's already occurred. So it was just a general statement. I didn't have one specifically.
Okay. Okay.
I got a lot of issues, but
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, Scotty.
but this conference call is not long enough to cover all of them.
I know that it came up and it's not unusual. Many of you have experienced, 1, 2, or 3 park manager changeovers. And we acknowledge that that sometimes creates bumps. You have to train a new park manager in terms of, they come in at a given point in time. They don't see all that you did in the past. They're looking at things from where they are right now. And it does delay things. And we acknowledge that, and we try on our end that I will calling a sec there, Andre. What we call on our end, we try to do on our end is once we know who it's going to be, we try to call and have a conversation with them saying, hey, you have a friends group. Here are some of the things that the friends group has done in the past. If you have any questions, if you've never worked with a friends group before, because, sometimes that's challenging. They've not, and sometimes they feel threatened because you may have more experience and you do have more knowledge of that place than they do. And that can be very, intimidating to somebody that's coming in new. So Andre, what were you gonna share?
Actually, you just made one of the quick points is intimidation, because in some ways, friends groups, I mean, some of us have been around 10, 15, 20 plus years. And even with change of leadership, the friends group is the institutional memory or continuity. And it helps to just be cognizant of that when you are welcoming a new park manager who, like you just said, may or may not see friends groups as a positive thing. And at Pine Grove Furnace, we had 1 year where we had several in a row. I can't remember, was it 5 or 6 now? We've had a number of new park managers come through, and I've learned to accept that there are different management styles of each park manager, and they're not necessarily wrong, they're just different. And their relationship with friends groups at their previous posting might be more or less adversarial than you, as the friends leader. So just roll with it. I've learned from seeing the different managers come through, but the truth is the friends group may actually be the magnetic North Pole, and these different managers come and go. And you feel like, yep, it's been nice knowing you. Good luck with your new posting and welcome the next one. You really can't be too full of yourself, because the truth is you do serve at the pleasure and the manager is in charge in the end, but do recognize that you have a role to play and don't be scared of that change is, I guess, the message.
Yeah. And know that it takes a good year, for a manager to really know a place, one full cycle of operation, and be patient and see where you can be of assistance in helping them. But if at any point you're having challenges, don't hesitate to call. I don't have a problem with picking up the phone and calling a manager, or picking up the phone and calling a regional manager, depending on where the challenges lie. Because, you're there representing the people, and that's just as an important role as what the manager is doing.
Marcy, this is Jane. We just went through this after having a manager who was there for forever. And
Yes.
You just said it requires patience, because you have to realize they don't know you, your group, what you can do, what you can't do. You said, this is what we do, but there's got to be a trust too. Then they have to see that they can depend on what you're doing or what you say you'll do, and you do it. So, it was a very slow year for us, the transition year, to get everything approved and get everything going again. But it's great. We love our new manager, and we have a great working relationship with him. It just takes time on both sides to
Yes.
learn each other, to get to know each other.
Yeah, it's almost like in a new relationship,
Exactly.
you're dating somebody, it takes time, and then you fall into a communication style. So thank you, Jane, for sharing. How many of you have an up-to-date work plan, or are interested in doing an up-to-date work plan so that you have sort of guidance of where you're going, or have your goals solidified, so that you have that communication piece, not just with your park manager, but when you're recruiting potential new board members or potential new volunteers?
Yeah, World's End has one.
We have one.
Yeah, we do too at Black Shannon.
And
Keegan
I'm
Scout
working
has
on
one too. We
one.
do a strategic planning session every February for the year.
Excellent.
Friends of Oil Creek is going
Another
to.
one at Colonel Denning as well.
We
So-
do, we do every year. The
Excellent.
president draws it up.
Excellent. You know, if you get a point where you want some help, that is something that we can do. When we launched all the groups, we did a planning session with you, but that is help. That's a good way to communicate with potential donors, with potential members, with potential board members. And if you have a change of leadership, it is something that you can show, you know, this is where we're going this year. This is what we've done in the past. And it's a tool, another tool in your toolbox. I would ask that you make sure that we have your current board meeting schedule. If it's changed, we keep a master list, and that's how I'm going down through it, saying, okay, you know, White Clay and Colonel Denning meet on the same day every month. So I'm going to see one of you in 1 month and one of you in the other month. That's how we plan. And so we know, and plus if it helps us if we need to get anything to you in time for those meetings. I'm checking out the chat here. Okay, so Jen, you had a question on plans. Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to mention, we're going to be starting to work on ours. We're brainstorming actually, because in the past, like 4 or 5 years, we've done a program called Chicks in the Sticks. And it's been very, very successful. However, we're not going to be able to do it this year because our park is going to have some extensive upgrades as far as our bike path is concerned. And there'll be heavy equipment where we normally have our event.
Ooh.
So we're going to be working on, we're brainstorming on other events to get people in the park. And one suggestion someone had that seems really good is, instead of Chicks in the Sticks, we'd have Families in the Sticks. And some of the more really popular events from Chicks, we would invite families to come, maybe bring a picnic, and someone would do a presentation to try and get people in the park that way. So we're having our brainstorming session in February to see what all we can come up with. And then present that to the park manager to get his feeling as far as what all, you know, what we might be able to do, and where, and again, most importantly, where we could possibly do it.
Yes,
in the
excellent.
park. Yeah. So
Thank
that's
you.
what we're, yep.
And I will ask Steve to quickly mention, they did something that was very family friendly and very popular last year. Steve, you want to take a minute and share?
Yeah, and it was really the first event we've done in years, at least in the years I've been around. We did a welcome summer beach party where we had a DJ playing 60s music. We had a bonfire on the beach. Probably the big attraction was we sold food at relatively 60s prices, certainly dirt cheap prices by 2023, 24 standards, you know, 50-cent hamburgers, 50-cent hot dogs, things like that. And we absolutely lost money. And that wasn't the point.
Right.
We weren't trying to make money. We were trying to bring people to the park. And we did have several people come up to me and say, I haven't been here since I was a kid. And that's what I wanted to hear. And other people, I've lived here all my life. I've never been here. So that was a huge success for us.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. You know,
If I could add-
and you touched on a thing there, Steve, too, and that is we put up a fact sheet last year on community open houses. Don't assume that the people near the park have ever been there. You know, doing something that invites the locals in is a really good thing, because they may not understand what's available. We've talked to people in a surrounding community, and they think that the park is just for, you know, visitors or for just people who are paying to camp, and don't realize that it's a community resource. It's there for all taxpaying, everybody. You don't even have to be a Pennsylvania taxpayers. You know, our parks are open to anybody. So think about those community open houses. And I think I may have cut somebody off. Dave, was it you that was going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to add to Steve's and your comments regarding, we had 2 events over the past three years. One was for celebrating the Loyalsock Creek being named River of the Year, and then also the 90th anniversary for World's End State Park. And in both of those events, they were one-day events. We had a variety of programs, also included some musicians. And, but by far the biggest draws were the animal exhibits. We had a falconer one year. We had Clyde Peeling's Reptile Land another time. Carbon County Environmental Education Center brought a whole bunch of animals that they gave a program on. And, you know, young and old alike is it drew people in. And we had the same comments and experiences where people that have lived here all their lives don't attend the park. But they did that day because they brought their grandkid down to see what the animals were like. You know, so they were both really successful events. We have a new park manager now. It goes back to something that I think Jane mentioned. This is our third one in our 5 years of existence. And our first one, Bill Coker, he had been there for 19 years. He was great. He was letting us run with it. He had a good plan for how he could use us. After he went to Bald Eagle, then this next manager we had was really uncomfortable with us. He was there, thankfully, for just 14 or 15 months. Now our newest manager seems to be a little more receptive and understanding what we've accomplished and what our potential is. So I think he's more open than what the previous manager we had. So,
Right. It's good. It's good.
but yeah, patience is the key there. And somebody had mentioned earlier too, you just got to ride it out.
Andre said it
Go home and do
earlier.
your breathing exercises.
Park managers are like bosses at work. The good ones don't last long and the bad ones don't last long. So patience and, you know, at White Clay, we didn't have a park manager for a long time. So not having one is not a good case either. So.
True. Very true. I
We
know that.
had-
Go ahead, Joan.
We had a very successful 50th anniversary of Ridley Creek as a state park, 50 years. And that was last year in October 2022. And we had two main events. One was on a Wednesday evening at the mansion. We have this mansion in the park. And so there was this guy from a historical society, and he had created a booklet of all the history of Ridley Creek State Park in the area. And he had pictures. They dug up pictures from, you know, from long ago, in the 1920s and so on. And they, you know, showed the difference then and now, kind of. And that booklet is still being sold in the area. And there was a slideshow to go with that. And that was at the mansion. And also there were tours of the mansion, which we had in the past when we had Christmas parties. We haven't had a Christmas party for years now, but we had tours of the mansion, and we got a lot of people, a lot of interest. People came. And then we had a Saturday event a few days later, all day Saturday. We had hikes, various kind of hikes. We even had a run. Now, it was such a big event, we really could not handle it. We're too small a board. And so one of the board members knew a woman who is a professional organizer, and we hired her, and it was very expensive, but, you know, we couldn't have done it without her. You know, she worked on publicity and, you know, all the logistics and everything. It was even more planning than we needed, but it did work out well. We had a lot of people came, local people who had never come before, you know, to an event of Ridley Creek State Park, and then we had refreshments. It was really a very big deal, and it was very successful. And we didn't intend to make money on it really. So we had money in the budget, so we did it.
Yeah, and I think several of you made that point. You know, sometimes you're doing the activities not as a fundraiser, but as a friend raiser, or to connect people to the place. You know, and that's a good use of friends' money. Bringing people in, helping them to see what's available, or to, you know, for some people.
We've actually gotten several times someone has died and left money to the friends. We've gotten a pretty big amounts of money, and one time recently we've gotten, so that's really a bonus.
Yeah, well, if somebody knows you're there, that's that's one of those benefits. I wanted to touch on a couple other things that came up. You know, I heard grants come up a couple of times, and I have to remind you that if you're thinking about grants, there is a grant protocol that you need to, you know, fill out the form, get it to us at least 4 weeks in advance so we can review it and give you a yay or nay. You know, Scotty will tell you they have a grant right now, and it's a reimbursement grant, and we're doing a lot of dances to make it happen. So we really, you know, try to discourage people from doing those unless they have that full amount of operational money in their account. Because, you know, we can, as PPFF, front everybody the money, because if everybody were to do that, we could potentially end up being bankrupt ourselves. So, you know, reach out to us, make sure that you're following the protocol, because grants legally bind PPFF and the PPFF Board of Directors. And Secretary Dunn and I had a meeting with the Girl Scouts in the heart of Pennsylvania. And you may or may not know that Girl Scouts has a program called I Love State Parks. And they're really trying hard to connect girls to the outdoors. They shared with us some of their challenges. One of those challenges is opportunities for the girls, particularly at the junior, cadet and senior levels are those badge, not just badges, but like gold is the highest level in a Girl Scout. It's equivalent to the Eagle Scouting for Boy Scouts. They're looking for projects. So if you have any type of projects that would lend themselves at the junior level, it's usually planned as a group. At the cadet is a little more girl involvement, but at the senior level, those girls have to put in 120 hours of planning and management of their own award program. So, you know, if you have those opportunities, it's a great way to support potentially future leaders and get some projects done at your park or your forest. They also have found that girls aren't getting the exposure to the outdoors because sometimes the leaders do not feel comfortable. You know, they don't feel they have the outdoor skills. So if you have programs or opportunities or think about programming, think about reaching out to scouting, or let us know, and we can reach out to scouting and let them know that here's an opportunity where you either girls can attend or they can leaders can go and learn some new skills. And also we got all of the badge requirements if you're interested in getting those and doing any program specific to any types of badges or working with your educator in that capacity, let us know and we'll get them out, or maybe Pam will just we'll send them out to everybody with some links. But they're very committed, and you know, the Girl Scout in the heart of central Pennsylvania goes from Maryland to New York to past State College to almost Philadelphia, but they communicate with the other Girl Scout groups as well, the other units. So, and the other thing I wrote down was some of you last year provided us with information when we sent a little survey out saying, hey, what's the inside scoop for your park? You know, if somebody's new to your park, where would you recommend that they go? And Pam, maybe you could bring one of these up so folks can see what we did with it. But these have been very popular, and we give a little shout out to the Friends group on them. We have an intern coming in, so you may hear from the intern saying, hey, you know, what's the inside scoop? And it really is designed for somebody who may not have been at your park or your forest before, because it can be forest as well, and helping them to feel comfortable being there and navigating a new place. So are you able to find those, Pam?
I would say that's one of the things we're starting to work on, is putting some programming together to introduce people to different types of events or activities, and trying to get them set up with I want to say monitor, but monitor's not right. Somebody that actually that knows how to do it, a mentor. That's the word I was looking for, mentor. So we're trying to set some groups up that way. And from one of the other trainings we had or whatever, we've been able to take some of the ones we got and go to like the equestrian group for Pennsylvania. One of the things they're going to work on coming up and doing a horse thing for us. It's going to be their event. We're just going to help them. That way we don't have to worry about insurance. So that's what we're trying to do with some of these. We have some other groups coming in now that's working on it. Actually, we got another bike race this year. We went from 1 to 2. So
Nice. Yeah, so we'll share the scouting badges with you, because those might be a good fit for some of the things that you're trying to do. And as you're talking too, I think there's probably value in having a conversation, not tonight, but with folks who are doing, you know, trail work and have trail steward programs and trail adoption programs, because you're all doing things a little bit differently and have had various success. And I think there's a learning opportunity there. So Pam brought up the insider's view. So it's just a series of questions that we ask you as you know, the local expert in your place. You know, what's the most challenging hike? What's your favorite medium intensity trail? What's the best place to go get something to eat, you know, while you're at the park or when you leave the park? And we also translate this into Spanish, and we're looking at other languages based on where you are and some of the other languages of the visitors at the park or the forest. So it's a pretty simple for questions for you to answer. We had some educators do them as well, and they've been very well received by the public.
What do you do with those when you complete them? Is it you post it on a website, or what's that?
You can post it on your website. You can use it on social media. You can print them out and put them on bulletin boards
Okay.
in the park. You can have them printed in the kiosks at the park, as you know, because the question that is very, very common, and we hear it all the time, is, you know, I'm curious, I want to go to XYZ, but I don't know where to start when I get there. And that was really what inspired that, was just giving people some additional information of, you know, I have kids, I'm going with my kids. What should I do with my kids? I was hosting a Colonel Denning one time, Steve, and a guy came up to me in flip-flops, and he was carrying a 3-year-old or so. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to hike up to Flat Rock." And I'm like, "How about the nature trail?" I think you'll have a better experience. So, you know, it's really just trying to point people in the right direction and keep them safe and, you know, get them engaged. And you'll see that your logo is on there, your URL is on there, and we give you both, put it into the design, give you both that and whatever other languages it's been translated into, and it's a resource that you can have as well.
It looks like a great thing. I'm gonna touch base with you on that. I don't think we have them.
No, I don't think we got
I don't
got
think we
one
have-
from you guys, so.
I wrote it down. I'll be in touch, ma'am.
Okay.
And I know that there was a question out there, if anybody wants to share some of their thoughts on how they're doing their membership. I know Jonah had a question, so we'll open it up to that. I just want to be cognizant of the time. So,
We just dropped ours at World's End because we found that we were getting donations and membership didn't really bring you anything. Anytime we get a donation, we just make sure that the donators are aware of our the Vista newsletter, or Facebook page, website, etc. But yeah, like someone mentioned earlier, we didn't find value in having memberships anymore. It didn't contribute a lot to our contributions, our financial contributions and donations.
And a lot of management involved in making it happen.
Yeah,
Our
didn't
membership
seem-
has doubled in the last year and a half. We're up over 200. We were around 100 about 18 months ago. Now we're up over 200. And we have an individual membership, and then we have a family membership, and then we have a lifetime membership. So, and I do agree with Joan's comment a while ago with, you have people that want to do the work and whatever, and it's nice to reward them with a membership, but why not? You know, that way they feel part of it. You know, I mean, our membership's like $10 per year. So, I mean, that's really not a lot of money. And it's nice that way they're getting recognized. You know, you're telling them you're happy that they're helping you out. I mean, we're in a situation where we get folks from West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania all in our forest, and you know, we have to try to accommodate all those.
So, and a membership program works for some people, doesn't work for other people, which is why we've never said, oh, you have to have a membership program. It's like, you figure it out at the local level if it's something that's going to be beneficial and something you want to put the energy into, because it does take time to manage. If you have somebody that it likes to do that and enjoys doing that, that's great. And it can be revenue, or it can be, depending on how you're pricing, and if you don't get anybody, it can just be work. So it's great to hear that you have 200 people. That's amazing. I will say that we would encourage you to encourage your treasurers that when they get checks as donations or sponsorships or memberships, that they deposit them on a regular basis. We just had a deposit from our friends group who, you know, it got deposited because the donor was upset that it hadn't been cashed. You know, I think they were trying to save the $2 deposit fee, but in doing so, they lost a donor and member because they sat on the check for 6 months. So do encourage folks to make sure they're making regular deposits. Yeah, 6 months out, the bank can actually refuse to honor the check as well. And it sends a wrong message, you know, to people, like either it's not important or you don't need the support.
Or that you're just very disorganized, which is not a good message.
No, it's not. And you know, you're not those folks, but you know, just got to put it out there. I promised Bernadette I would mention it.
I thought the checks were sent to you, at least for our group. People write checks PPFF/ Friends of Ridley Creek State Park. And I believe our treasurer's been sending it to Harrisburg, right?
Right, they do, but sometimes the treasurer doesn't send it on a regular basis, and we get checks that are several months old. In this case, it was a 6-month-old check. It was written in like July of 2023, and we got it in January of 2024. So we couldn't even honor it as a 2023 donation because of the point at which we got it in 2024.
Right. Yeah,
So-
that did happen to us, and the person got very mad.
Yeah. So, you know, it sends a message, you know, people balance their checkbooks.
Yeah.
I think I have touched everything that was on my list, and I'm looking down through the questions that you had. As always, there's a lot of information on the Friends Resources section of the website.
I think Chad is doing a free member recruitment webinar for us in March,
Yes.
but we don't have the sign up link for that yet, right? He usually does it about a month out.
I wonder why he doesn't. I will ask him, or we can ask him. Yeah, but Chad is he is a development consultant, and this question came up in the Friends Retreat, and so we actually are paying Chad to do a membership training, so that if you have a member program, and he'll be touching on other things as it relates to fundraising from people, so it should be a very good workshop. He's pretty dynamic, and he is an avid outdoors person. He generally doesn't work on Fridays because he's out hiking somewhere in one of the parks. So he gets it. He loves the work that you're doing, and he volunteers, and he's active in scouting, so you could tap on him for a couple of different questions. Thanks, Pam. I forgot about that. We have, what are the other trainings? We have secretary coming up
And social media.
and
Yeah,
social
that's-
media.
I hadn't closed my calendar. I could tell you quickly when they are. But
There will be more, some of you participated, and maybe you can talk to this for the other folks who haven't, but there'll be more interpretive host trainings that we did in conjunction with DCNR. Those of you attended, do you recommend it for Okay, I've seen lots of thumbs up. Jane, I can't see your thumb if you're, I think that a lot of people from Kings Gap went to one of the last ones. So
Yes, they did. But I was not one of them, unfortunately. I couldn't come, but there were 3 or 4 of the board members went, and they really said it was a great program. And I was sorry I couldn't make
It really should have a
Missed
sexier
a good
name.
one.
it.
Yes.
needs a
That was a
sexier
good
name, that's
program.
true.
It was really good.
Well, we're going to be hosting more of those, so we'll make sure you have those dates, and they're free of charge to you. We're paying for the certification. We're paying for the snacks. There's also going to be towards the fall 2 multi-day leave no trace trainings that will be backpacking trips to train you to be a trainer, a leave no trace trainer. So we'll let you know those dates if there's anybody involved in your friends group that might be interested in participating in those. We will be doing some more chainsaw training. We're trying to get wilderness first aid out there for folks. Trying to think what else, Pam. I'm running out of steam. I've been talking all day. I'm not talker's tired.
The secretary's Zoom will be the 31st of January and social media is the 7th of February for those of you who want to encourage your board members to attend. We'll reconvene back here again.
Great, yay.
Yahoo. So is there any outstanding questions? Because I want to make sure we answered everybody's question and that you got at least something out of being here. Hopefully it was valuable to you.
Well, I would like to tap Scotty if I could. I asked him specifically to come to this tonight because when I was on a meeting with him and their park manager last week, he said something that I found very compelling, and I wanted Scotty to come on and share it with all of you as a really great idea for being a chair. Take it away, Scotty. You remember what it was?
Give me a reminder.
Well, you mentioned that somebody is always asking you, we should do this, we should do that. And you
Oh, yeah.
tell them they need to come to you with a fully formed idea and a plan.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
At a moment there. I hear some of you talk about volunteers and park managers. We really have a great one now at White Clay. And my board, I have no problems getting board members. I got more people wanting to be on the board than we have spots for. I have a lot of ideas, and you may experience some of this yourself. A lot of people have a lot of ideas about things that we should be doing as a friends group. They've kind of learned me by now to not show up with an idea unless they have some information to back it up. Because what I've learned is if you allow people to do it, they'll want you to do all of the legwork on the idea as the chairman. And, you got to find a nice way to say, that's a great idea. Would you be willing to take that idea and go flesh out the details around it? Plans, cost, how we could get it done, how we stay out of Marcy jail by doing something that Marcy doesn't know about. So you kind of have to find a way to get them to bring forth the details with the idea, because it's easy to show up with an idea. Because a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but that's not where the work lies. The work lies in how are we going to implement it? How much is it going to cost? What permissions do we have to have? Can we actually pull it off? All of those things. So right now in our planning phase, we divide our planning up into 3 phases: projects that we're in control of, projects that the park is implementing that we want to be supportive of. And I'll give you an example of that. We have a major bridge install that's coming up. We really have nothing to do with that. DCNR came up with the money to do it. They hired the contractor to do it. But when that's over, there could probably be a little bit of finishing touches around the entrances on both sides of the river of this major bridge, footbridge. So that would be a project where we're not directly involved, but we might be in a supporting role, which might mean doing some cleanup afterwards. Some projects we fund and manage and implement under the guidance of the park manager, obviously, and approval. And then we have events, which are single item points in time. And then we have ongoing activities, like something that we do on a repetitive basis, like nature walks or things like that. So we got to break all those up into those buckets and then decide what we're going to do for the year. And that's where I get a lot of great ideas from board members and non-board members. And Pam was nice enough to join the call with me and the park manager the other day. I think Marcy said it earlier, it's about communication. And I spend a lot of time with the park manager. He and I get along great. Joan's going to have the benefit of him for a while now at Ridley Creek on an interim basis, because Rob's going to be filling in with the park manager who's out on maternity leave, I should say. And it works great. He and I, we communicate all the time. He knows what we're thinking. He tells me if that's doable or not doable. I tell him what ideas that we have and ask him if he would support that. And Pam joined our call the other day. I asked her to give some guidance on, how we could improve that. And, Rob and I talk about ideas sometimes, and I say, yeah, I got this great idea, but I don't have time to flush it out. And many of you probably have been in that situation. There's not enough time to go and beat out all the details of all the good ideas you get. So you kind of have to pass that back to a board, or a member of the Friends group that may not be a board member. And what I tell people all the time, just because you're not a board member doesn't mean you can't be an active part of the Friends group. And some people get that confused. It's like, well, I'm not on the board, I don't have to take a role. Well, yeah, you do. You can take a role and not be on the board. So that's always a constant reminder there. And to get the board members to bring in other people when we do have meetings and get-togethers, so non-board members actually see what's going on. So that's kind of the way we run things. It's really worked well. I don't really have a problem getting volunteers. I don't have a problem getting money from the community when we have a project. What I have learned there is if you have a well-defined project, you can clearly explain what the beginning and the end result is of that project. People are willing to donate to help that. If you say, hey, would you like to donate to the Friends group? People are like, yeah, well, maybe sometime later. And that's because they don't really understand what that dollar is going to. But if you have a very defined beginning and end use of that money, I found that it has not been a problem raising money from the community if we're in a bind. And we got in a bind about a year ago, needing some money, and we raised several $1,000s in 5 days. But I don't like to keep that open all the time and constantly asking people for money, because it gets old. Because they do pay taxes. And, taxes in Pennsylvania do go toward DCNR. So they are actually paying for the park already with their tax dollars. So I personally don't like to go and beat up people about donating just for that reason. But in times of need, they come through. Our biggest challenge right now in the White Clay is we need some DCNR resources to support some of our bigger projects. We need engineering terribly right now, and they're kind of understaffed in engineering, but we got major projects that are on hold because of engineering. So that's kind of the overview where we at, but usually there's not a shortage of good ideas. Where the shortage occurs with the volunteers is the job's not over just to present the idea as a thought. You got to have all the details. That's where I push back, as Pam was saying. So.
They're the people I like to put on the committee.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Scott, this is Jane. We went through the same thing. So I actually developed a project list that they have to present when they present the idea.
Yeah.
And how much it's going to cost, what are the resources needed, whether it's park resources, money, volunteers, all that stuff. And that's when they have an idea, you give me the project sheet too, so we can really evaluate it rather than just saying we should do this.
So
Jane,
Can you share that?
Can you share the project
I-
sheet,
I
Jane?
can. Sure.
We can put it up on the resources page so
All
others.
right, I'll
people can get it.
send it to Pam.
cool.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And thank you, Scott.
My personal baker just brought me a a slice of freshly baked bread. So
Oh,
I apologize for eating in front of you, but you can't say no to freshly baked bread.
That's it. I'm out of here.
Any other thoughts? And this is good conversation, so I don't want to cut it
I was
off.
going
if
to say
other
the
folks
one
have-
thing that I found, I mean, I was the vice chair for a while and I stepped up. And, you know, just being on the board, what we found was you have individuals that like to work in groups and you have people that don't like to work in groups. So if you find stuff for those different groups, it helps. Because we actually have a new group under us now is we have a wildlife habitat team that goes out and helps take care of the wildlife openings, build bird boxes and stuff like that, clean them out. So and most of the people want to do that. They only want to work with 2 or 3 people, and that's ideal for that size of the job.
Yeah.
So we started getting people for there. We had a guy that painted, he painted a lot of signs, you know, so we found stuff, you know, say, hey, what can you, or what do you do? What would you like to do? And that's where we try to get people put together that want to work together or have the same idea. And it's been helping. It's really been helping.
That's good advice. You know, tap into what people's, either what they want to learn or what their strengths are and how they want to volunteer. Thank you, Don.
Mhm.
Well, awesome. Thank you all. You all had such great ideas and thoughts to share. And I did make a note. I do think it would be, you know, Pam, maybe we're going to add this as one on trails and trail stewards and adopt a trail programs and that are happening where some of those conversations could happen, that if people are interested in starting one or if they're doing one or what their needs are and how they approached it, that might be very helpful. Because we have quite a few groups that are focused on trails or creating adopted trail programs so that people have that flexibility of going out on their own time as opposed to during a regular workday.
Yeah, we got a nice stewardship program for some of our trails and even for some of the campsites, because they're back off the road. There's not that many campsites. Well, around the parking lots, there's a few, but that's been nice for that, for, you know, and actually we have one youth group that comes in as well that helped do a lot of the work at the campsites this year, trying to beef them up a little bit.
We're fortunate at Oil Creek because we have the Over the Hill Gang, and it's a group of gentlemen that are well-versed in trail clearing and repairing stairs and bridges and all different kinds of things that have to be done during the course of the year. And they're quite diligent about ensuring the trails are safe and kept up. We are very fortunate at our friends group.
They're
Yes.
famous.
You're famous.
We have
Oh,
a
so-
trail
so-
work day the first Saturday of every month. And we have Adopt the Trail program.
So we'll pull something together on that. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jen.
And are you going to post this video or send us the link to this video so that I can see who else wants to hear it on the board?
Yep, it'll go up on the Friends Resources. Zoom sends me the link. I turn it into a video, post it to YouTube and the Friends Resources page. So that'll happen. in the
YouTube.
morning.
Well, no, but to get you send it to, is it attachment to an email?
Usually they're too big to email. Is part of the
A
problem.
link to it, link
A
to
link.
it.
Yeah,
the
I
link.
can send you a link. Yep.
Yeah, but speaking of YouTube, we have a new video. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's on the Roll of Quiet, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback on it. Both as, you know, people like appreciating the video, but, you know, the conversation over, you know, how we're losing places where you can have quiet moments, and the topic of preserving the soundscape. So if you haven't seen it, you know, check out our YouTube channel. feel free to share it with
I-
others.
I'm not well versed in YouTube. Do I go to YouTube and then type in Friends of PPFF, or what do I do? How do I get
If
it?
if you type in YouTube PA Parks and Forest Foundation, it'll take you to our YouTube channel and go to videos. And it should be like one of the first videos that, oh, Pam just put the link right there in the chat box. That Pam is so fast. She's such nimble fingers. So it's in the chat box. And
You find it, Joan? If not, I'll just email it to you.
and I will see you all throughout the year at various locations, maybe at trainings, maybe in a visit with your friends group. And Dave, we actually are doing some hosting at World's End this year. So I'll see you there when we're hosting.
Do you know the dates yet?
My husband wants to do it all of April, and I keep convincing him April at World's End is not a really good time to be in a camper.
No. No, actually, I think they don't open the campground and, well, they open it when trout season starts.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the beginning of April, yeah. You might be
Sounds-
camping in the snow,
Sounds, yeah, that's what I said. I said, it's probably still gonna be snow there.
maybe.
It's not a 4-season camper. So,
Well, look forward to seeing you guys then.
great. Look forward to seeing you as well. Chapter retreat in person at Greenwood Furnace. We are gonna do an in-person one. It may be at Greenwood Furnace, it might be somewhere else, but you know, it'll be a place that has a variety of lodging options so that if folks want to come in the day before. But yes, in person. There's so much value to being in person. Iron furnace. I think Andre's lobbying for it to be at Pine Grove. Oh, Greenwood Iron.
Scotty, you need to
Just need
mute.
lodging.
Scotty. He needs to mute. Can you mute him? It's never.
All right, I'm gathering up everybody's email addresses and sending you that link to the quiet video, but not everybody's popping up on me, so it'll show up in a minute.
I actually seen your video.
Oh, good.
It come up on my television.
What?
And I just went to the YouTube channel, and they have a spot where they put all this other stuff in, whatever they think you want to watch or whatever, and yours actually come up. It's not going into the paid section. That's still in the free section of the YouTube.
Nice.
Wow.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate all the work that you all do and all the members of your friends group. You know, Pennsylvanians and all the visitors to state parks and state forests really benefit from you being there. So thank you. I know that you have other opportunities for your time, other demands on your time, and yet you so generously give of your time to the place that you represent. So really appreciate that. So thank you, and stay safe. We're just getting some more snow. Stay safe. Try to enjoy it. If not, curl up with a good book and sit by the fire.
That's right.
Many ways to enjoy a good snow.
Come ski at Oil Creek. It's beautiful.
Oh, I bet it
Cross
is.
country skiing at Oil Creek is
Right.
wonderful.
Wish it were a little closer. I'd pop up there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Zimmerman had
All right.
snow on it.
What's that, Don?
I said Zimmerman Trail had some snow on it.
Yeah, my problem is 2 years ago, my ski boots blew out and I just haven't replaced them. So I think it's going to be less expensive to do an entire package than to replace just the boots, because the boots were like $329.
Wow.
It's a shame they don't do 3-pin anymore, so
I know.
That's
really.
what I got, an older set. I found them online, and I got the skis for like $7. What thing it was, I had to go get the boots, and I kept going on there. And one day I said, looking for this, and the guy sent me a message that he had my size boot, and for the exact binding that I needed it for.
That's perfect. That's what I keep hoping. So if you know anybody that's a female 9.5 boot, that's a 3-pin binding. You just let me
That's
know.
that's part of our items we want to do with the introduction to different things, is to have like little swap meets that we can get used gear and stuff to these people that want to try to experience it, or something they can borrow for the day, check it out, and then, you know, maybe they can buy it for cheap. I know I'm going to probably end up giving my skis away, but and the boots will go with them if they fit. So, but that's kind of what we're trying to do with each one. We thought about doing a big swap match, but to do it for all the different seasons and all the different user groups, it'd be too huge. So
Yeah.
we're trying to break it down into smaller ones.
And to build on that, you know, some of the parks I know, like at Black Shannon, they have it. Some of the parks in the park office or some of the Friends group have put up gear lending libraries so that if you don't have the gear, you can borrow it. And that's a really good thing for, you know, bringing people that want to try a new experience so they know they can check out a backpack with binoculars and a field guide, you know, to go bird watching, or check out, you know, fishing rods to go fishing. Sometimes the educators have them, but sometimes it's the Friends groups that are acquiring the gear so that folks can try things out.
Yeah, this is Terry. I was gone for a while, but I'm back. But we have ice skates, cross-country skis, a lot of equipment, and it's really popular for us to do that. It's a good way to introduce the Friends group to people too.
That too, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, put a little tag on there. Courtesy of the Friends of. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a
All
great
right.
evening.
You too.
Click on the
Bye-bye.
button.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
Bye.